All right. Today is the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, and I purchased a flag last night, a good one, American made, and I went ahead and hung it today in honor of the Vietnam War veterans, those who ultimately sacrificed so much in a bloody battle that a lot of people say could have been prevented. I have sprayed once out here. I'm going to get out here with my weed eater and clean it up, maybe spray again, and get things in order for the spring. The weather has just been so tipsy, just been so awkward, to the point that you didn't know from one day to another whether or not you was to put on a coat or wear your Bermuda shorts. Unbelievable how unorthodox that the weather has truly been. Unbelievable. But I did put that flag up today in honor of the veterans' 50th anniversary today, 29th March. Now going back in here, I just got through having my therapist. Actually, two of them come at the same time, which is kind of unusual. I ain't never had two therapists come at the same time, and I thought it was a bit odd that two of them would come. Come to find out, I know now what they was up to. They wanted me to prove that I could walk on both legs and be stable enough that, give or take about a week and a half now, they want me to kick the boot and getting back to walking again. In other words, I got a good enough report from the doctors that they're ready for me to start into another phase. Get back over here. Basically what they made me do, they made me take my walker for the first time. There's my walker right there, and they brought it up there to me, and they made me go down the steps, go down the wheelchair ramp on my walker to make sure I could maintain and had enough strength to do so. One of the things that has saved me tremendously, especially living out here in the country where you ain't got nobody to call on, is my clothes hamper line right there that runs off of pulleys. Let me back up a little bit more and I'll open the door up and I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. Shut that a little bit. I still got my boot on, and I ain't gonna lie to you, it feels good to be able to stand back up on both two legs. Let me show you here now what I'm talking about. Oh man, these allergies are kicking in, all this pollen. Got two different lines right here, front line and back line. See how I done it right there on the mount with a big pulley right there. What you do, you grab a hold of that back line right there and you just pull it. And as you're pulling it one direction, pull in one direction, the rope goes another direction. Now, because I don't have that concreted like it ought to be, or smoothed up like it ought to be, I wound up having to put some wheels on it temporarily until I get that all smoothed up right there. I don't know if I'm going to concrete it or what. May just put a bunch of blocks in there. Then again, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But I had to put some wheels on my baskets. That way it rode like it should. Let me show you right here up close. Pulley. I can get the thing to be still. As one pulley's going this way, the other pulley's going the opposite direction. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back this way. You know what I'm saying? That particular pulley I couldn't find, and I basically had to modify another pulley into that pulley to be able to make that pulley like I wanted it right there, because to find a double wheel pulley like that with a bar on the bottom to be able to put a hook, I couldn't find. I'm not saying that they don't make them. I'm sure Amazon, you can just about get anything. But I couldn't find one around here, so I had to invent my own. And you can see over here on this other side, kind of rigged it up there, but it does. It holds that other shaft in there for that other pulley. That way I don't have to worry about that. Man, it's plowing something else out here. But anyways, I just wanted to show my viewers that it feels good to be able to maintain your independence going through something like what I went through with this operation without having to rely upon burdening other people's lives just to help mine, or wound up going to a rehab or whatever that as far as I'm concerned, that in and of itself is a burden, because now you got to put up with everybody else's problems, including your own. They claim out west that it's become a predominant thing for people to have like a hip replacement and go home that day, or like I had this left fusure done and go home that day. They claim that has become a predominant thing out west pertaining to home health, that people actually heal up better and does a whole lot better in the surrounding that they're adapted to, more so than putting them in a surrounding that they're not adapted to, because a lot of times people's personalities just don't get along with one another. But I thought I'd show my viewers and tell those that does care about me to some extent that I've got a clean bill of health today, and they wanted me to walk. I didn't just walk down that wheelchair ramp. They had walked over next to where that bush right there is, next to that other flagpole right there, and then I walked back, and then I had to walk back up the wheelchair ramp, and then prove to them that I could maintain my balance and had enough strength to take care of myself. Has it been tough for a 62, now 63-year-old man to have to adapt in doing all this? I ain't gonna lie to you, it's been harder than hell. But you know what? God gave me the strength. He gave me the will. He gave me the zeal. He gave me what I needed with enough sense and a few people around that's helped me. Some of them has been extremely well in how that they have provided services for me towards coming out here and giving me hot meals, moving stuff around. And I'll ever be so grateful for that, including home health, because whenever I got hurt originally in 1979, falling off a 4-story building, A.L. Smith building in Milan, Tennessee, they didn't have services like this out here. Now, they probably had services like this in New York and California and places like that. But here in Tennessee, I would have been completely without any help unless I did wind up going into a home. Fortunately, my first wife, Vicky, decided to come back, and we was going to try to make a go at it because we had been separated up until then. I think my son, Nicholas, he was maybe 7 months old, 6 months old, something like that. But we lived in a trailer over here at the original Dennis Harrison farmhouse, which was basically this, a little bit like what I'm living in right now, but it was more of a confined trailer, a smaller trailer, kind of like the one that I use for storage over there. By the way, this tree right here, this is the first tree that my grandfather and I planted, Kelmer Jackson, before he died. And believe it or not, we had a whole string of them down through there, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably about 20 oak trees at one time right there, all the way up and down through there. And that's the only one left standing. Only one that didn't get pulled, either cut down or bulldozed down. Them pine trees right there, I wouldn't ask anybody to put pine trees in their yard. That right there will damage all them pine tree cones, will damage the blades on your lawnmower like you wouldn't believe. That's the reason why I don't even think about sharpening my blades. Of course, this time of year everything's real tender anyways. It's still in a virgin state, so it ain't really all that hard. But those pine trees, those pine cones will absolutely ruin a sharpened blade on your lawnmower. Now right here is where Mr. J.M. Willis and Miss Lenore Willis lived, that had, I think, three kids: Mike Willis, Teresa Willis, and David Willis. And it was Teresa Willis that I think got killed in 1972 right up the road here, where they met up on a hillside, and a drunk was in the middle of the road, and J.M. didn't know which way to go, so he went in the opposite direction of the way that the guy was in the middle of the road. And as soon as he done that, the guy in the middle of the road realized that he was in the wrong, so he tried to straighten up, and they caught right in the center of the top of the hill, and they both stood up. Both automobiles stood up probably about 12-15 feet nose to nose, and that was the end of that. Like I said, it killed Teresa. I still remember her just like it was yesterday. A little later on, J.M. was one of the best coon hunting people around here that you can think of. Him and Jinx Wallace and Morgans and some of the other people around here. But a little later on, JM, he had horses, he had pigs, he had cows. Didn't have a whole lot of livestock. He done mostly row cropping. But he got him a hog. And you know, animals will get mean after they get old. Some of them will. Not all of them. They're just like people. We put them grain bins up after my brother died in 1976. I think we used them either once or twice, and that was the end of that. Right here is where my old farmhouse that I raised up in lived here, up until the house burnt. I guess it was probably before 2000, where an old man had 2 kids, and the old man had basically gotten real mean with the 2 boys, and the 2 boys wound up taking the old man and trapping him inside the house and caught the house on fire and just stood there and watched him burn. A few months later, the way I was told, he was up at White City bragging about it. Somebody heard him and turned it in, and now both of them is doing, I guess, life without prison in state penitentiary or federal penitentiary. I don't know where they're at, and don't care to know where they're at. Anybody that would do anybody like that. Right over there where the sun is shining, right there, you can see the sun. That's basically an exact same spot where I was at. Inside that tree line, there's a pond right there that my grandfather, my great-grandfather dug before my great-grandfather died. And that was the area that I was at fishing on my birthday, 1988, whenever a divine miracle started happening towards angels coming out of the sky and placing thorns into my head. The first thorn, whenever they hit my skull, and I could hear flapping, but I could see only outline visions of what was happening. I actually thought that I was hallucinating, and I just kind of pawned it off like, oh man, I'm really into it, ain't I? And then a few minutes later, another angel come down, and I felt another thorn go into my head. And whenever the second thorn went into my head, I freaked out. I threw the pole down, and I got scared, and I started running, because my dad used to always keep his equipment just this side of all that tree line right there. He used to have all his combines, cotton pickers, tractors, discs, breaking plows, whatever, all lined up right there. And I jumped the fence, and whenever I jumped the fence, I misjudged it, and I wound up tripping, and it's wondering if I didn't break my freaking neck. I had my red truck parked right here. Like I said, I was over fishing. It was on my birthday, March 22nd. I got my red truck and started going to Kenton, Tennessee. And as I was going to Kenton, Tennessee, going through the Obion Bottom, going from Weakley County to Obion County, the angels of God was still coming down, placing more thorns up into my head. They basically finished what they was doing to me by the time I got to Kenton. By the time I got to Kenton, I was so spiritually exalted that if a cop would have pulled me over, they would have probably thought that I was either high or drinking or something, because I wound up going to my mother's house where she was living at the time with her mother, and I basically fell out of the pickup truck, and my mother and my grandmother thought that I had taken some drugs, or that I was high on whiskey or beer or something. And I had not taken not one thing. A matter of fact, I had been fasting and praying the whole time towards taking my material that I had written and putting it on cassette tape so that I could send 9 tapes to the White House pertaining to the divine miracles that had happened in my life pertaining to the close encounters of death. But I just wanted to share that with my viewers a little bit before I get out here on this main road here. Wishing everybody a happy Easter. Tomorrow's Good Friday, the day that they actually captured Jesus Christ, which would be tonight, and had a knocked up trial, and then crucified our Lord and Savior. And that's why they call it Good Friday, because if it wasn't for that particular event, we, those that are concerned about our own personal souls, would not have a salvation plan pertaining to a promise of the hereafter if that event did not occur when it occurred. So the birth, the crucifixion, the resurrection, and the descendant back up into heaven was all in conjunction towards one being just as vitally important as the other. God bless and shalom.